Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today for another webinar in our Market Access and International Approvals webinar series. My name is Crystal and I am part of the Certification Testing staff here at VISTA Compliance Laboratories. Today I'll be presenting to you the certification and approval regulations as well as the technical requirements for electrical equipment, electronics, and wireless product and device approval in India. TEC has been designated as the telegraph authority for the purpose of administrating the MTCTE procedure and formulating Essential Requirements (ER) under MTCTE. Any telecom terminal equipment which is used or capable of being used with any telecommunications network established has to undergo prior mandatory testing and certification in respect of parameters as determined by the authority from time to time. The required testing is to be performed by an Indian accredited lab, and based upon the test reports, certificates shall be issued by TEC. VISTA Laboratories is an EMC RF compliance test lab and product certification body, are experts in global regulatory approvals for RF devices. So today, we are primarily going over the requirements of radio frequency and telecommunications approvals in India. In this webinar, we will provide an overview of the major topics necessary to understand what is necessary to get your radio device on the right track for approvals and import into India. If you have any questions on the topic presented today or any other immediate questions regarding compliance, testing, and product certification, you can reach us at info@vista-compliance.com. Without further ado, let's begin the presentation. Before we dive into MTCTE, let's get an overview about TEC. The Telecommunications Engineering Center, TEC, of India prepares specifications of common telecom network equipment standards, services, and interoperability. All telecom equipment manufactured in India or imported for installation and connection to Indian telecommunications network require mandatory testing and certification per TEC essential requirements. Applicable for communications or network equipment that interface with the public network or wide area network (WAN) services. Common telecommunications network interfaces include TI/E1, ISDN BRI, PRI ISDN, ADSL, serial and analog PSTN, and so on. The certification process is known as the Procedure for Mandatory Testing and Certification of Telecommunications Equipment, MTCTE. The testing and certification in this procedure ensures that the equipment meets all TEC prescribed essential requirements. The quality and reliability of the equipment is not part of this procedure, so OEMs, importers, dealers themselves will be responsible for maintaining the device's standard of quality and reliability claimed by them. According to the Indian Telegraph Amendment Rules 2017, all telecom equipment must undergo mandatory testing and certification before being sold, imported, or used in India. Under these rules, the final detailed procedure for mandatory testing and certification of telecom equipment, MTCTE, has been notified separately. Testing for conformance to essential requirements for the equipment will be performed by Indian accredited labs designed by TEC, and a certificate will be issued based on their test reports. MTCTE is designed to cover 55 types of telecom products along with associate variants. Any original equipment manufacturer, OEM, importers, and dealers who sell or import any notified telecom equipment in the country must obtain a TEC certificate and put a TEC label on the equipment before placing the product on the market. The purpose of MTCTE are end-user safety, users and general public protection by ensuring the radio frequency emissions from equipment do not exceed prescribed standards and telecom equipment complies with Reliance national and international regulatory standards and requirements. There are two main processes for MTCTE approval: general certification schemes and simplified certification schemes. Any original equipment manufacturer, OEM, or authorized Indian representative, AIR, who wishes to sell or import any telecommunication equipment in India must obtain a certificate from Telecommunications Engineering Center (TEC) and label the equipment with appropriate certification labels as mentioned in Annex D. For General Certification Schemes (GCS), the applicant must submit test-by-test compliance along with test reports for each parameter, including in the ER or essential requirements, from any designated CAB, which is a conformance assessment body, or recognized CAB of an MRA, a mutual recognized agreement partner country. The test results must be compared to the respective ERs to determine compliance. For simplified certification programs, SCS, the applicant displays test results when necessary and includes a supplier's integrity statement, an SDOC. Under GCS scheme, the applicant must submit test-by-test compliance along with test reports for each parameter, including the ER essential requirements, from any designated CAB, conformance assessment body, or recognized CAB of an MRA, mutual recognition agreement partner country. The test results must be compared to their respective ERs to determine compliance. If equipment is found compliant with the applicable essential requirement parameters, a certificate shall be issued to the applicant along with labeling details for the specific model of equipment. In the case of a valid type/interface approval certificate, TAC/IAC, issued by TEC, or a TSEC issued by BSNL based on the most recent TEC GR/IR testing for only incremental clauses of ER, if any, and evaluation of such incremental testing results is required for certificate issuance. This MTCTE certificate is valid for the remainder of the TAC/IAC/TSEC period. A regular ER shall be issued by TEC for the equipment for which provisional ER was prescribed. The equipment should be certified again using regular ER before expiring of validity of temporary certificate. The certificate will normally be issued within 4 to 8 weeks from the date of submission of complete test results, depending upon the complexity of the equipment. This is a list of equipment covered by MTCTE under the GCS approval scheme. It contains equipment such as routers, switches, repeaters, gateways, telephone equipment, short-range devices, and more. Let's go through it from the beginning. Cordless phones, point-of-sales, POS, terminals, GPON equipment, DSL equipment, IoT gateway, tracking devices, smart electricity meter, smart watch, smart security camera, router, LAN switches, mobile handset and dongles, mobile BTS, compact cellular network, mobile repeater, microwave communications equipment, UHF/VHF communications equipment, mobile radio trunking system equipment, equipment operating in 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz frequency bands, satellite system equipment, IP terminals, media gateway, signaling gateway, session border controller, soft switch, PABX, telephony application server, telephony media server, multiplexing equipment, SCH equipment, DWDM equipment, digital cross-connect. Simplified certification scheme. For SCS, the applicant must test the product in accordance with the essential requirements and submit a test-wise compliance sheet along with a self-declaration of conformity, SDOC, in accordance with the parameters included in the ERs. All other rules, procedures that apply under the GCS shall apply in case of SCS, with the exception of the test reports, which are not required to be submitted by the applicant or evaluated by TEC. TEC, however, reserves the right to request a copy of the test reports for the applicant to be submitted. The Telecommunications Engineering Center is in charge of the procedures of mandatory testing and certification of telecommunications equipment Any telecom terminal equipment which is used or capable of being used with any telecommunications network established has to undergo prior mandatory testing certification in respect of parameters as determined by the authority from time to time. The required testing is to be performed by an Indian accredited labs, and based upon the report, certificate is issued by TEC. This is a list of equipment covered by MTCTE under the SCS approval schemes. The list of equipment covered by MTCTE under GCS and SCS is updated from time to time and is expected to expand in the future. Here are some of the equipment that is covered. NSD/ISD payphone, electronic telephone instrument, key telephone systems, two-line feature phones, coin box telephone, multi-line telephone systems, Group 3 fax machines, modem, ISDN CPE, clip phone, audio conference facility device, executive telephone systems, terminals for connecting to PSTN. All applicants for type approvals are required to register on the MTCTE portal. By uploading relevant documents, applicants may submit applications for testing and certification after TEC approves registration. Applicants select product to be certified, its variant details, available interfaces, and associated models information, and shall upload BLM file on the portal. Applicable certification schemes, ER, and fee is informed by MTCTE portal. After payment of fee, applicant shall submit test results and reports. If reports are not available, applicant is directed to testing section of MTCTE portal. Applicant selects cabs of his choice for testing. Cabs upload test results and reports. Applicant resumes the application and makes self-declaration of conformity, SCOC, and then certification is received as long as the device is compliant. The following information and documents required will include bill of materials, user's manual, schematics/block diagram, circuit/block diagram, specifications/data sheet, test reports which are not older than 1 year covering all essential requirements. For standard equipment in the GCS category, the lead time is on average 4 to 8 weeks for the processing of the certificate. For standard equipment in the SCS category, the lead time is on average 2 to 4 weeks for the processing of the certificate. This does not include testing time. The number of samples varies depending on the number of requirements that apply and the logistics of performing the evaluations for all the requirements. Registration validity is for a period of 2 years and can be renewed if there are no changes in the product and the standards. It must be for every factory per registration number. Certificates are issued for each physical manufacturer. For family models, up to 10 models can be included in a family series, and testing must be performed on the highest spec model, in other words, the worst case model. As for renewals, no retesting is needed as long as the product has no technical changes. Even if there are changes in the product, it will not require complete retesting. Only complete in itself standalone independent equipment are tested and certified under MTCTE. Equipment modules and components are not covered by MTCTE. The technical regulations prescribed under the framework are in the form of essential requirements. Essential requirements, ER, to be complied with for the purpose of certification under this procedure will include the following: EMI/EMC as prescribed by TEC, safety as prescribed by TEC, technical requirements as prescribed by TEC, other requirements as notified by TEC, DOT, or any government agency from time to time, security requirements as per notification issued by DOT. If any essential requirement is not available, a provisional one will be provided at the request of the applicant. Any amendments to essential requirements are applicable from the date set in the amendment and until the date the previous requirements are still in effect. This is an example of an MTCTE type approval certificate. On the top left of the certificate is the radio equipment type approval number, which must be shown on the label. This is the part that says TA-year/certificate number. All certificate information and equipment records are publicly available and searchable. Information shown on the certificate will include the radio class number, certification number, and date. The issued certificate is valid for 5 years from the date of issue. Following up on the previous slides, here is a non-exhaustive list of some products that commonly require applications for ETA certifications that are regulated by WPC: Bluetooth speakers, wireless chargers, Bluetooth headphones, wireless smart home appliances, radio frequency identification, RFID tags and readers, wireless medical devices, laptops, mobile cellular phones, wireless computer peripherals such as mouse and keyboards, remote keys for keyless entry, wireless remote systems, and any other devices containing radio frequency modules. Importation. Any original equipment manufacturer, OEM, or authorized Indian representative, AIR, who wishes to sell or import any telecommunication equipment in India shall have to obtain a certificate from Telecommunications Engineering Center, TEC, and label the equipment with appropriate certification label as mentioned in Annexure D. If there is any nonconformity found in the factory premises inspection, corrective actions shall be taken within 3 months. If the OEM, the importer, fails to make any corrective measures, the MTCTE certificate shall be withdrawn, and OEM, the importer, shall be barred from labeling its product for conformance to MTCTE. Devices utilizing e-labeling shall have a physical label on the packaging of the product printed at the time of import or storage for sale or during distribution. Surveillance. Appropriate authority, AA, reserves the right to inspect and/or test any telegraph which requires mandatory certification at any time and at any premises, including sites where it is in use or at the place of manufacturing, to ensure that the telegraph used and sold has required certifications and/or conforms to the essential requirements of existing certifications. Inspection and testing may be performed on a regular basis at the discretion of the telegraph authority, appropriate authority, or in response to a complaint. Surveillance is conducted to monitor and enforce MTCTE compliance as required by Indian telegraph rules. The case will be closed if the sample complies with the MTCTE procedure. In the event of a proven violation, the OEM/AIR will be directed to apply on the MTCTE portal under penal provisions. If the sample meets ER, the testing fee will be reimbursed to the OEM. Exempt equipment. This is a list of equipment not covered by MTCTE under either the GCS or SCS approval schemes. Some of these equipment types may eventually be added, but currently everything here is not presently covered. Some examples are Wi-Fi modules, RF test instruments, amateur radios, antennas, waveguides, wireless temperature sensors, BLE remote controls, and Wi-Fi appliances. Now let's go through the list we have here. Modules, spares, components, SKD, CKD. Test instruments, hobby assembling, passive telecom components, power supply, UPS, solar equipment and batteries, integrated systems and networks consisting of more than one telecom equipment, each of which are individually covered by MTCTE, equipment that is manufactured and imported in India but exclusively meant for export, IoT sensors and intersectorial devices with proprietary communications interfaces only, set-top boxes, primarily non-telecom electrical and electronic products with Wi-Fi, NFC, Bluetooth, and etc., multifunctional devices with Wi-Fi, Ethernet ports primarily meant for trans-receiving images, equipment with communications modules specifically covered by mandatory schemes of any other government agencies, laptops with cellular connectivity, enterprise digital assistants. Labeling and marking. OEM importers, dealers must ensure that equipment offered for sale or use in India is clearly marked or affixed with the OEM's or brand's name, equipment trade name, model name, and serial number, as well as the relevant certification label. The MTCTE labeling requires the TEC logo to be physically placed on the equipment, as well as the certification number provided by TEC from the certificate indicating that the equipment conforms to essential requirements. TEC certification e-labeling is required in the case of mobile handsets and tablets. The TEC certification label must be legible, indelible, non-removable, and should be easily discerned under normal lighting conditions. The TEC certification label shall be put on the product at a prominent location so that it is clearly visible to the user. However, in the case of removal or user replacement outer covers, example back cover, in case of few mobile models, it can be placed below removable cover. The TEC certification e-label consists of the name of the country, India, certificate number of the certificate issued for the device under MTCTE, the device's model number, the TEC logo, as given in following figure. The information can be in the firmware or software menu provided it is easily accessible and cannot be modified. Instructions on how to access e-label shall be included in the user's manual, operation instructions, or as an insert in the package of the product, or other similar means. This concludes our webinar on India market access and approvals for electrical equipment and wireless products. I hope this webinar was helpful for you in determining which Indian certification applies to your device and what the process for approvals and certification process is like for the different available certification schemes, as well as what the requirements may be. Compliance with the technical requirements of India is required for all radio and telecom products and ensures that any wireless equipment does not degrade performance or cause interference with the existing network to which it is connected, provides suitably safe to the end user, and ensures RF emissions comply with the relevant standards. Depending on the certification scheme, equipment may require approval and testing in India prior to distribution or placement on the market. Vista Compliance Lab specializes in certification approvals and compliance testing for electrical and radio frequency devices and is a 17025 accredited EMC RF compliance test lab and a 17065 accredited product certification body. We are a telecommunications certification body in the US, Canada, EU, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Japan, and we provide certification and approvals for all product types in countries all over the world. If you would like to stay in touch with regulatory updates, follow us online. And if you have any questions, comments, and suggestions on the information presented today or any general inquiries, you can reach us at any time at info@vistacompliance.com. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.